A lot of it, like people buying these mixing desks that are like fucking around, like the guys that recorded, what's it? Dave Grohl did a thing called, I can't think, Sonic Highway, I think, and it's all about a fucking mixing desk. That this mixing desk was used at the studio in the 50s or the 60s. They started using on things, and then bigger bands for the sound that they got off, and it's all putting it onto like tape. And stuff, and people are still using it, because like with Nirvana's album Nevermind, with Butch Vig's fucking studio, they had a certain sound that they could get there, which if you're just recording straight into a computer, you don't get that. You can put on as many filters and shit and bits and pieces that you want, but you don't get a certain sound. You can try and emulate things, but there'll always be something slightly off from it, you know. Not that there's anything wrong, like that has its own place and stuff, but I think for certain things, like people are recording acoustically, there has to be some kind of gap there. I think it adds something to it.
What I'm interested in seeing is the kind of the inverse of what you were saying there, because you grew up with vinyl and tape and CD like as kind of your first forays into a kind of music and whatnot. I'm interested in seeing it from the other side, where people start listening to their music through MP3s and streaming, and then go back after a while and listen to vinyl and see if they have like the inverse effect, or if they'd have it, because it'll kind of show if nostalgia is a strong bias on it or a weak bias on it.
It's a hard one to actually to kind of go with it, because it is, I don't know, like, I mean, the thing is, the vinyl sales are up and tape sales are up, and there's a lot of younger people are getting into tapes. It seems. I looked at a documentary about it at one stage, and it was like people that were teenagers made the documentary, and it seems to be coming from this like kind of fan place, where it's like a lot of people going out following these like newer bands that are coming up on Bandcamp, and they're kind of like as a gimmick kind of a thing. It's very cheap still to get your stuff on tapes compared to getting it on other mediums, and way cheaper. So people started doing, so then it's after leading to this thing where people are starting to collect tapes. It's still an underground thing. And then they're going off listening to older stuff on tape, to the point where tapes are starting to make a bit of a, because of this, like, it's starting to grow. Because it is just, it's like a collector's thing. It's like people getting old fucking video games. Like, there's a lot of people that they're into getting like old Game Boy games, or kind of like even trying to play stuff on the Game Boy that wouldn't have been around the first time around for it.
I suppose like one I'd be interested in is like, Laura, you like, and I suppose you yourself went as well, but I think Laura did it a bit more so, was you were an early adapter for pretty much every kind of new and upcoming medium.
Unfortunately.
Only the ones that didn't take.
To my expensive detriment, unfortunately, yes.
Mini discs, that's I think the main one that was.
Well, that's, I suppose, sort of the drawback to sort of going to uni, I suppose, for all of that, because it was kind of like, oh, Betamax, let's try this, Minidisc, let's try that. I was kind of like at the front. Jesus, my parents, when he dug out, I got a video recorder, a camcorder for my 21st birthday, and it was like digital recording tapes, and it was like, you can't play them anywhere now, you can't use it, they're absolutely useless now, and that thing cost like bloody £1,000 at the time, and it's like, I could just use your phone to record video now, why can't you do that? And it's like, oh, Jesus Christ, the amount of money that was spent over time on all of this.
Well, I think mini discs were great, because like the sound quality of mini discs were really, but that was the problem, because mini discs themselves, even for a blank mini disc, was wildly expensive, and a lot of artists didn't release stuff on mini disc as well, which didn't fucking help. So the whole thing, if you had a mini disc, you had to go off and buy the CD, then buy the blank mini disc, which was probably more expensive than the fucking CD that you bought.
Burn it off onto a mini disc to actually use your mini disc player. It was ridiculous. Well, the main reason I use mini disc was because I used to work in radio as well.
It's good for recording.
Yeah, it's good for recording. I remember you did a couple of documentaries. So I would have done interviews and stuff, vox pops and stuff like that using the mini disc. So it's good for recording that kind of stuff. But
then digital recorders came along very fast behind it, which basically just
made everything obsolete anyway. But that's,
like, what if we put a mini disc and just, make it read writable?
Sure, for my 19th birthday, I got a video recorder, like an actual like proper video recorder with a tape, where it would record onto tape. I still have that, and it's beautiful. Like, it really is lovely. But it was very hard for my mom to find, because nobody was using it anymore.
Yeah, it's funny though to go back and look at those old mediums, and it's like, find some stuff, like, even if it's recorded stuff or even stuff you bought, and you're like, I'd like to listen to this again, but it's almost impossible. Like,
but how? Yeah.
Like,
That's even
kinda
with
the
VHS
worst one would be
and stuff.
floppy disks and VHS.
Oh, God.
I think the best use of floppy disk drives at the moment now is just a lot of people are using them as instruments themselves. Yeah,
I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of people just pair up about 20 or 30 of them and then just have them like do that noise they make. They just have it synced up differently so that it actually does like the Star Wars theme or different stuff like that.
Well, there's a lot of those things. They end up using the sound chips out of them because that was how like music was played before.
We had to go off and buy floppy disks when I did my what's it called, when I went to CTI, like what we did the like BTEC level 5 after college. We had to go off and buy floppy disks for a pre-nursing course, and it was really hard because that was in 2007 and they were still using floppy disk drives in there.
Hell, that's ridiculous.
Like I think to this day the computers in WIT still have floppy disk drives. Now, granted, they're after advancing enough now that they
have USB drives as well.
That they have USB drives, and they go, okay, we're not going to make you use floppy disk drives, and they're more just a remnant of the past. But it kind of just shows how slow like some education systems are when it's just like, yeah, we're going to use this today. You're like, why?
I have a funny feeling. I remember having to get floppy disk actually for some course that I was doing as well in Waterford, and it was just like, you fucking shitting me.
Yes, are you
and it was I had to buy it online, I think.
Yeah, I went into a couple of shops and they were like, no, we don't have floppy disks. Like, are you after coming from the 90s?
Like,
yes, do you want to travel back in time?
Where it was like burnable CDs. I saw them only a couple of weeks ago in a kind of a bargain shop, and I was like, who the fuck is buying like burnable CDs still?
We have 50 blank ones in the room next door.
Exactly,
But
that's what I'm saying though.
it's terribly, like, I bought it there a while ago for, I can't even remember what the fuck I would have bought it for, but it probably would have been to give on someone that wouldn't have had a digital thing, whereas like maybe burn the movie or fucking music onto it for someone. But yeah, it's like I bought like a pack of 50 of them, and like there's 49 of them just sitting there.
You're like, let's use these for clay pigeon shooting.
I'm going to use them for an art project, actually, I think. Like a mosaic type thing.
I mean, that's probably their best use nowadays.
Yeah.
But you know, it's a terrible thing.
Breaking them.
I don't see CDs coming back, like to the point of vinyl.
No, there won't be the same nostalgia for them at all, I don't think.
As well because of smaller cases.
Shortest, though, lifespan. Really?
God, yeah.
Well, of the winning ones,
Laserdisc.
like HDD and Laserdisc and Betamax were, the failed ones were just dead in the water. But, I don't think anyone's going to go, okay, I'm going to buy my CDs. And then because my CD scratch so easy, I have to buy the CD cleaning kit.
Yeah.
God,
and that might
those.
work and it might not work. And then I have to, get that spray, and I have to, keep them all in these things. And I'll have this little CD booklet, but if I open too fast, the CD will fly everywhere and scratch.
Then they'll break.
I suppose that was the good thing about vinyl as well with it, because it's such a simple fucking device as well, kind of like the mechanics to it, that it's like your needle gets fucked, you just buy a new needle and it's easy to replace it. The arm gets bent. That was with CDs. It was like, your laser thing is broke, it's can I repair it? And it's like, but you probably buy a new one cheap.
Or if you go into a friend's house when you were younger and they had all their CDs out of their cases, like, it used to really annoy me. I'd be like, oh my god, there's so many scratches on this. Or if you gave a loan of a CD to a friend and you got back and you gave it to them in like perfect condition, got it back and there was scratches and God forbid stains on it, and you're like, what did you do?
You used it as a
coaster.
You bastard, how dare you.
Be one of the most frustrating things ever. Whereas like if you did give someone music now, you can just send to them and you don't care about that copy because your copy's fine.
I think as well what kind of like restarted the whole kind of thing for vinyl as well. People wanted to support artists, but as well there was part of it was I think there's this thing that started happening. I remember when I discovered the internet at first, it was like I can have any movie that I ever wanted. And like you get to the point then where it's it was like a perfect storm. It was like any movie you can ever want, and at this time buying storage has just dropped through the floor. But it was just like everything. It's when you can get your hands on everything, you kind of go, I don't have any. There's no value.
Yeah, nothing is important anymore.
Stuff where you just it becomes really the spot where you're just like, oh, listen to that album and never listen to it again. Whereas like before, if you had to buy an album and it was like you could only buy one album a fucking week or a month or whatever it was, you were going to like that album regardless if it
Yes,
was
you were
bad.
like, I
You were going
spent
to keep
£20 on this, I don't care, I'm going to listen to it.
you would
even
keep
if it's
listening
shit.
to it over and over and over again.
Saved up your pocket money for 4 weeks and went down to what shop
Golden
was it at the
discs.
time? Sinnets.
Yes, and it's KG discs.
Yeah, or BPM, and just waiting in line and just be like, yeah, can I have this? Oh no, we're sold out. It's like, damn it.
We were like at Hitler's speeches remixed now.
That reminds me, actually. Bloody Nine Inch Nails, they were releasing a DVD at one stage and it was limited stock and you had to order it in. And I remember putting the order in with BPM and they were like, we are getting one of these. And I was like, fine, can I put my name on it to reserve it? And they're like, I suppose so, but if somebody else comes in ahead of you, they might be able to buy it. And I was kind of like,
That's not reserving.
I know
That's
what
not
I was
reserving.
exactly, and I was kind of like, oh God's sake! So I remember I kept on going
It's
in
like the
every
Seinfeld
single day.
sketch. It's like,
Literally.
reserve the car.
Literally, I was going in every single day after work for, no word of a lie, 6 weeks asking them had they got it in yet, and they're like, "Oh, it's not in yet. Come back in tomorrow." So every day for 6 weeks, it's like, has it fucking come in
Well,
yet?
you got
Oh
the
my
last
God.
laugh. He's dead now.
Good, I'm delighted. I eventually did get the DVD, but oh my God, that was such a stressful 6 weeks waiting for that to come in.
Yeah, I can remember you going in there.
I thought
Oh
you were
my
going to say
God.
they went. Actually, we one of our staff really wanted it, so we just gave it to them. And
Well,
then
that
it's
was-
like,
that
"Yeah,
was
they
the
burned
worry."
The building down.
That was the worry.
Oh,
that
they were all
somebody else
into
was gonna
dance
get it.
music anyway.
Yeah, that's
they
true.
like it.
Then
They
my
wouldn't
friend
be kind
gives me their address. I'm going to kill them.
But yeah, so stressful just trying to do that. It was just, and that was your only way to get music back then. There was no internet at that stage really to order it off. It was just-
Sure, even like the way things are gone now, there was like I backed this documentary thing called what's it? I can't, something of darkness, which was about 80s horror movies, and it was like the Kickstarter. It went on forever with this whole thing waiting for the Blu-ray, but they were like, look, we have the documentary finished, so we're putting it up on Vimeo for any of the backers so you can just watch it. And then it was about 6 months later that the Blu-ray came. Where it was just, with stuff like that you kind of go, yeah, it's nice having the thing, but I've never even looked at it on the Blu because it's, and I still wouldn't, because it's probably just it's easier just to throw it on Vimeo.
Yeah. We've actually done that so often. We have like a Blu-ray or a DVD or something and you're like,
Just
too
watch it
lazy
on
to
the-
get up and
yeah.
put it on, we'll just stream it.
It's like, it's nice to have it just in case like the internet goes or something like that as well.
See, that's my absolute greatest fear. Spotify goes down or something. Yeah.
Yeah, like we recently recently enough bought the box set of Psych.
Yeah, no, we're kind of moving off music into TV, but I would do
Yeah.
I would do the same that I would like you would do for vinyl with some TV shows that I really like, because it is the same thing. You're kind
Something
of
we will come back to.
Yeah.
one of the concerns that I'm starting to see with TV. I haven't seen it with music yet, and hopefully I won't, but it could very well bleed into it. Is like labels or producers changing the music like you can see it with Disney Plus, where they're like altering the movies, like your childhood movies and all that, slightly tweaking it, doing this, just modifying them slightly, because like you don't have control over it, you're just streaming the stuff. Whereas
Sure, that
if
was
you have
so
like a vinyl or a box
supernatural.
set or DVDs, they can't do anything to them.
Sure, that's the videos of fucking the original Star Wars trilogy.
Yeah,
they go for
George
some money
Lucas
now
did
because they
so
just
much
before
tinkering
kind of
around
like
with it.
before all the
I'm sorry,
changes
'cause
and
I
stuff.
had DVDs that were set in like they were the one of the first kind of versions of the remaster, in the sense that they had some new CGI on them, but they didn't have all that bollocks on them. They didn't have like probably what's like half the stuff on it now.
Yeah.
And I have them somewhere. I just don't know where they are.
I think we've the old VHS somewhere. I don't know, are they in your parents' house or did they get
Yeah,
them to
but
your
they were
cousin or
ones that
something
would have
like
had the changes on it. Down some of the first changes. Yeah, but Lucas was like, he had it from the get go, and he
Right
didn't.
from the
Yeah,
start, yeah.
he waited until it got to the point where it was like that there was very very few copies.
it
I
is-
think Laserdisc ones are the only ones that are really kind of like
But that is my
That's the one kind of benefit to like having like digital, or
Physical
I can
copies,
get any
yeah.
movie, because like there are some places where you can just go, oh well, I've got a digital copy of this for you. You can get
Yeah.
it, and then you could actually go off and watch it. Whereas they just, it's really odd that they like don't or have never released a kind of this is an uncut, unedited version, because they'd sell like mad.
He just doesn't want people to see it. Like, I think that was part of the thing as well when he sold it to Disney. It was, but like, I mean, this is one of the things, actually, one of the pros about digital, I think, that it has over the physical media, is that a lot of stuff that would be fucking gone or forgotten about, people have uploaded it. Like, you can see movies on YouTube that no one in a million, that they would have been straight to video or whatever, or kind of like things that came out in the 60s that no one was really into, and they're preserved online.
Yeah.